this is Russ. Got some interesting news for you guys today. So over the weekend, I did a little bit of evaluation of some things that I might be able to sell because I'm not really using anymore. And I figured that this would give me an opportunity to get some cash to be able to buy a new battery. So I sold off a bunch of studio flash equipment because I don't see myself doing that anymore. And it was purchased by one of my former students, Dr. Chris Ching. If you need a dentist in Glenview, Illinois, go see Dr. Chris Ching. He's got a nice studio now. Actually, he had a nice studio even before all this. I went and did a consultation with him once before in the past because he uses photography in his dentistry office as well. And so we got him all set up, but he expanded that, set up a little studio in there, take pictures of his patients and the like. And so they got better looking smiles. So look him up. Anyways, he bought a number of items from me. I posted it on my school's Facebook page and just asked if any of the students had an interest in any of the gear that I had to sell. And Dr. Chris Ching bought all of it. So thanks to Chris for purchasing that stuff. And that gave me some funds now. So those funds are going to be used to purchase a new battery. And also a little bit of reserve when the time comes for me to buy some new tires. Because my tires will eventually wear out. I took a look at the tires. The rear tire is wearing faster than the front, and that's what they say typically happens because that's where your motor is. Now, I could swap the tires out, do a tire rotation, but that would mean taking everything apart. Still not sure whether I want to do it or just let it go and then swap out the tires when the time comes. I may just let it sit. But let me tell you about the battery, okay? So, since so much equipment was sold and there was a decent amount of funds from that, I decided, well, I'm going to buy the Rad Power Bike battery, the original actual battery that goes onto this bike. Now, you've heard me say before in the past that this battery is kind of expensive. It's $550, and then you got sales tax, okay, bringing it just over $600. I said, okay, to make life easy, let me just get the original one. Then all I have to do is just swap it out of the cradle. Morning. That holds the battery. So I just put that in the cart. Then it kind of dawned on me that I'm going to need another charger, because if I don't get a secondary charger, then I'd have to wait 6 or 7 hours to charge up this one battery before I can charge another 6 or 7 hours for the other battery. So getting another charger would be smart. So that was another $39. Okay, all right. Plus tax, right? Then I went and took a look at the shipping cost. $60. $60 to ship a battery that's like 7 or 8 pounds and a charger. So total was like over $700. I said, no way. I'm not doing it. Morning. So I just said, no, I can't do that. So I went back to the Chinese batteries, the triangle battery, all right? Now, here's the thing with the triangle battery. The triangle battery actually is more powerful in the sense that it's got a longer range because it's a 20 amp battery versus the Rad battery is only 14. Plus, I'm getting a 52 volt version instead of 48. Good morning. So theoretically, I should get a little bit more power out of this thing. Might be able to even go a little bit faster, but I don't really care about that. But the main thing is I should be able to get more range. Because 14 versus 20, the 20 amps is going to give you a lot more range. But here's the problem with this all, and I've said this before. The Chinese batteries aren't using the higher quality cells. They're not using Samsung cells or Panasonic cells or anything like that. They're using Chinese cells. But a number of people have this battery. And they're on the various Facebook groups. And Stan the Reservoir Rat, he's a YouTuber, he has this battery as well. He has the 48 volt version. I purchased the 52. So I have some confidence that this might be okay. Good morning. But I'm still a little bit nervous about the longevity of the cells. The Chinese batteries in general usually don't have the best out there, and that's why they're cheaper. So anyways, that should be coming in within 7 to 10 days. Now, I had to buy a bunch of adapters to do this because the Rad power bikes has a specific type of connection. And so if you go to Bolton e-bikes, you can get an adapter that will allow you to connect to the Rad controller, but it then terminates to an XT90 connector. Now, the Rad cradle for the battery does not have an XT90 connector, right? So I will have to cut that and put an XT90 connector on there. And that's not too hard. I've done soldering before. Like I told you guys before in the past, I do actually have a bachelor's in electronics engineering, besides all my other degrees in law enforcement. So I'm not afraid to cut a wire and solder on a new connector. But here's one thing that Stan did. He moved the battery and the cradle to the rear rack, and then he put this triangle battery in the triangle. Now, I'm trying my best not to do that for two reasons. Leaving the original battery there will make the bike look like the original bike. Okay, the battery stays where it is. But if you move it, then you got to put the triangle battery inside the triangle of the bike, and that's not a real big deal. But you know, it doesn't look like I'm speeding up here because I'm going up the biggest hill of this trail. It won't look like the original anymore if you do that. Hold on a second. We gotta pump a little harder to get up this hill here. Yeah, this is the toughest hill of the entire ride. By the time you get to the apex, you're down to like 8 or 9 miles an hour, and you're doing full throttle. Okay. So I was thinking of putting the triangle battery in the top of the rear rack in the pannier to hide it, and just let the cable stick out to connect. Now, securing that might be an issue. If it bounces around too much or it's too floppy, then that's not a good idea. Then the thought would be is to put that triangle battery inside the triangle, so it won't look like the original battery there anymore, and then take the original battery and move that cradle to the rear rack, build something that will hold it onto the rear rack. That's what Stan did. Stan's thing is actually pretty good. He's actually pretty smart. So I'll put a link inside the description. You can take a look to see how Stan put it together for him. I may end up having to do a similar thing, but I don't have the same exact rack as him. I have the Rad Power Bike's rear rack, so I would have to build some type of wooden mount for the cradle and then mount that to the rear rack. That actually might be the best way to do it. I'm trying to avoid doing all that, but I may have no option. So the battery will be in within about a week or so, something like that. So in the meantime, I still have only the one battery to work with, so I can only go so far. But here's the thing with the whole thing with the battery. I can get I would say easily 26 miles out of the current battery if I don't use the throttle a whole lot. Okay, if I use the throttle, I can do about 24. So let's just say 26 miles, and that's on a 14 amp battery. If the Chinese battery is as good as it claims it to be, I should be able to do even more than that with that battery because it's a 20 amp battery. So I'm gonna guess, let's guess 30, 32, 33, something like that. That extends my range another 33 miles. That's pretty good. Which means we can now go to more places. Now that doesn't mean that I won't be nervous about it because, of course, as you know, I don't like riding on large streets, and going to further places will definitely require me to do that. All right. I'm kind of locked in the middle of a bunch of major streets. So for me to get out of it, I've got to cross or ride some of those streets. Oops. Sorry. Things are always blowing into my eyes. I have to ride or cross some of those major streets in order to get someplace further. So I've got to practice up how to ride better on streets where people are driving 45 plus miles an hour. Now, by the time this particular video comes out, you will probably have already seen the video I did on Bussy Woods. All right, now, I'm scratching everything. Bussy Woods, I wasn't able to go too far into it. I probably went about 2 or 3 miles into it, and then I had to turn around and head back. All right, hold on here. I got to make a turn. And with the new battery, with the new battery, I gotta pass this. Hold on. Yeah, it's always tough. With the new battery, I should be able to ride the entire Bussy Woods, in addition to getting there, of course. Yeah. It's always tough getting up and down these things for intersections. So I'm looking forward to doing Bussy Woods entirely. It is the one thing that I wanted to do ever since getting the bike. But I knew that I couldn't do it because it's too far away. And even if I can ride there, which I did, I wouldn't have enough battery to ride fully around there. Bussy Woods Trail is about 11 something miles long. So we did a portion. We did maybe 2 to 3 miles worth of it. Turned around and I went back the same direction that I came. The thing is you want to go around in the circle. So you can't do that if you're running out of battery or knowing that you will run out of battery. Let's put it that way. That won't be a concern anymore now that we get the new battery. So yeah, I am looking forward to it. I've been talking about it for weeks. And now we have the opportunity to do it. So let's just hope the Chinese battery works out. So anyways, yeah, the Rad Power Bikes version with the shipping, with the extra charger, over $700. No way. I was planning that it would be about $600, but add the charger and add the $60 shipping, where did they get off with that? So, yeah. Can't do the easy thing, have to do the other thing. But maybe on the long run it might be better. Let's try this path. I think we've only done this one down once before, down this way. I believe this will exit out to the area that Vicky, one of our subscribers, has asked, where does this, if you went to the left on that forest preserve, where does it end out? Ends out over there, I think. So this should bring us back to the entrance point there. Now I'm kind of throttling and pedaling today. I'm kind of taking it easy. I'm going to take it more easy this week because I know once the new battery comes in, I'll be riding a lot more and heavily. Oh, by the way, let me tell you what our mileage is right now as of this recording. 1,195. So we're going to break 1,200 today. And we got 5 more miles to do that. Oh, here's an interesting thing. I was on the trail the other day and ran into a guy who had a Hemiway Cruiser. Now we compared our bikes and they're almost identical. We were saying that the Hemiway Cruiser and the Rad Rover sure looks awfully identical. Alright, so anyways, Vicky, here's where it leads out. If I go to the left, we would be on that path. If I go to the right, like you asked, it goes through that. So I'm gonna swing us around because I wanted to go through there. Squishing myself over here. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, I wanted to go through the forest preserve here, so I'm gonna swing myself around here. Anyways, we compared our 2 bikes, and we concluded that the 2 bikes look almost exactly the same. The construction of it, the build quality, everything's kind of very similar. But the Hemiway Cruiser actually offers a little bit more for the money than the Rad Rover. I think they include the rear rack. I had to pay for a rear rack. They have I believe a stronger battery too, one that goes a little further, and I think their top speed is a little bit faster. And from what I understand, they actually have a little bit more torque. So value-wise, the Hemiway Cruiser might be a better buy for some people. Now, here's the reason I skipped the Hemiway Cruiser and went with the Rad Rover anyways. The Rad Rover is probably the number 1 selling 4-inch fat tire e-bike in the US right now. And so a lot of stuff is made for this bike. Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot, okay? But it does to some people. If you want to modify the bikes, you can buy Bolton's controller and new color display. You could buy a better motor for it. You could do a lot of modifications to it. People have made things specifically for this bike. If you buy a brand that maybe nobody's ever heard of before, you have that problem of, oh, look at these 2 deer. There's a baby deer and a mama deer. You guys see them? They're both kind of looking at us here. Oh, that's a small little one. Yeah, they're looking at us. And there they go. Uh-oh, the baby's running off. Okay, they found it. Yeah, kind of scared off the deer. Sorry. I know you guys couldn't see that, but those 2 little deer were just kind of looking at me. What was I talking about? Yeah, so if you want to modify your bike, the Rad Rover is the way to go because the controller's external, the battery is external, it's not built into the bike. Like if you had the Aventure, I always get their name confused there. It would be hard to make those modifications because you don't have easy access to the controllers and batteries and all that stuff. You'd have a harder time making a modification to that bike. But because these bikes have the battery external, you have the controller external, you can swap things out pretty easily. So this is the reason why I bought the Rad Rover, in case one day I needed to do that. Let's say the controller dies on this battery, I can probably find another solution to fix it. If I buy a brand that doesn't have the ability to do that, I'm stuck at that point. I'd have to buy another bike. Now, you also know that I have no intention of modifying my controller, my motor, my display, any of that stuff. I really have no intention to do that. I don't care to go faster. I don't care. The only thing I might want is I would want more torque to go up hills like we're doing right now. That would be nice. But it gives me options. So that's why I went with the Rad. Now, you can probably do the same thing with the Hemiway. I wouldn't doubt it because they have the same type of thing. It's external. But here's the thing with the Hemiway. Although they claim a U.S. office, this other gentleman confirmed to me, he says he doesn't believe they actually have a U.S. office. They may have a shipping point here in the U.S., but they don't have a U.S. office. So if you had problems, you're dealing with China. So he told me that it took about 2 months to get his bike, even though they promised a certain time, for delivery and all this stuff, and it didn't happen. And I don't know if they charged his credit card right away or not, although legally I think you're supposed to wait until you're ready to ship. So I'm not really sure. I know Jim, the donut guy, he's waiting for his electric XP 2.0 bike. He said that they charged him already for both his bike and also like spare inner tubes and all that stuff. Yeah, that's not too good. They really should be only charging it when they're ready to ship it. And he's still waiting, and he's already been charged on his credit card. So that's not right. That's not good. Anyways, I went to see him over the weekend. He's the donut vendor at the farmer's market in this area. And yeah, he's still waiting. So sooner or later he'll get his. It's not too far off, I think. So anyways, that is the story. That is what we have to tell you today. That a new battery is coming, and that's going to give us the ability to go further places. Now, the thing is I got to figure out where we're going to go. We do know that Bussy Woods will be probably the biggest thing that we're going to go to. Bussy Woods makes what we've been doing look like we haven't been doing anything, right? This path here, I think if you do the entire trail, like I have been doing here, is probably about 9 miles, something like that. I think that's what they said. Bussy Woods is about 11, but it's through Forest Preserve pretty much most of it. This thing kind of goes in and out of different areas to add up to 9 miles. So we'll use one battery to get us there and back. Use the other battery to ride around there. Now, if my calculations are correct, that second battery should allow me to ride Bussy Woods around there twice, the entire path twice, or more, actually. I'll need to do some testing on that battery to see what the actual range is before going that much and that long. I know it should have enough to be able to do Bussy Woods at least once, if not twice. Anyways, yesterday I was out. Today's Monday. Yesterday, Sunday, I actually saw a deer on the path again. He just sat there and stared at me for about a minute. He's kind of a small little guy. But this last one, I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I hope I got some of it. The mom and the baby were just standing there staring at me, but I could have stopped and it probably would have stared at me too, but I kept riding, and so scared them off and they ran off into the forest. So yeah, this area has definitely got deer, and that's good. That's nice. I enjoy seeing deer on the path, as you know. Anyways, that's the major announcement I wanted to say. Really, I didn't want to do any further other than let you guys know that battery is coming, and you won't have to hear me complain about lack of battery. Now you can hear me complain about longevity of battery cells with the Chinese cells. So anyways, if you like the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys next time.